Hey there, this is Matt Miller from Ditch That Textbook, and if you're like me, you love Google Slides, and that's what we're talking about today. And some of my favorite uses of Google Slides are the ones where you use it in a way other than what it was intended for originally. You know, a lot of times we think of Google Slides and we think, oh yeah, that's that tool where we're gonna make slides and we're gonna put them up on the screen and kids are gonna do oral presentations with them. But I think some of the best ways to use this tool are completely different from that. And the one we're going to talk about today is what you could call collaborative slides or shared slides. And this is the coolest thing. The idea is that we're going to make one slide presentation, and each kid is going to have their own slide, and they'll jump onto their own slide, and then they work with whatever it is that they want to do on that slide. And then everybody's able to see everybody else's work, and then they're able to comment on it later. It's the coolest thing. This has really been a go-to activity for me over my teaching career. I mean, I've used this activity sometimes 2 or 3 times in a week just because it's so effective. So let's jump right over onto the screen so that I can show you how to set it up and how to use it, because there's some really cool ways that this can be used in the classroom. All right, so let's start off with creating the slide presentation. I want to drop this little ninja trick on you if you've never seen it before. You can type in slides.google.com/create to make a brand new slide presentation just immediately without going into your Google Drive. And you may have noticed that all I did was I typed slides and then it auto-created. If you're using Google Chrome as your web browser, then it does this kind of like autocomplete thing. And so for me, all I have to do is type a few letters and then boom, there I am, and I'm creating this brand new slide presentation. Now this is so easy to set up that I have in the past set it up on the fly with students in the room without having anything pre-created. And it's really just that easy. So what I do is I will start off by changing the layout to a title and body. And I've got a reason for that I'll show you in a little bit. Some people do it differently. And then after that, I just start hitting the plus button. Now you can use Control-M to create more slides, kind of like this. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. So I'll just hit Control-M, Control-M. That's your keyboard shortcut for a new slide. Or you can just click, 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 click this plus button, either way, until you get enough slides for everybody in your class. And I would actually suggest that maybe you even make more slides. So if you have 25 kids in class, see, I just made 35, that gives you a little extra breathing room. And so once you've done that, now you have enough slides for everybody in the class, and it's time to share them. So I'm gonna come up here and hit the blue share button. We're gonna give it a name. Shared slides, and then we're going to hit get shareable link. Now you want to change this to anyone with the link can edit. Now if you're working in a school domain, which you probably are, and you want to make it anyone in your organization can edit, that's okay. But either way, I've always just done anyone with the link can edit because we don't share it with anybody outside of our organization anyway. It's up to you on how you want to do that. And so once you've done that, you hit the copy link button, and now you've got that link. Now it's time to share it with your class so they can all jump in here and start the good work that you guys are going to do together. Now there's a variety of ways that you can share these links with your students. Probably the easiest way is if you have Google Classroom or a learning management system, take this link and share it with them there. I know if you've got Google Classroom, probably the easiest way to do it is to add a new announcement or add a new assignment, and then just use this slide presentation as an attachment. The difference here is if you want to offer it for a grade, put it in an assignment. If you want to just have students do it as an activity in class, put it in an announcement. And then that way they can click on that link and they can jump right in. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Of course, there are other ways to do it too. You can grab this link and you can share it in a variety of different ways. One really easy way, if you don't have a learning management system, if you don't have a standard way to share links, one easy way that I've found is just to create a Today's Meet back channel or a Today's Meet chat room. And so if you open one up, see there, I just created one. All you have to do is give it a name and then say how long you want to keep the messages in it. And so what I just created here is I just made one at todaysmeet.com/ditch. And so all someone has to do here is they put their name, and then they can add the message that they want everybody to see. Now, the students don't even necessarily need to do this, but what you'll notice is up here at all you'd have to do is have them go to your Today's Meet room. And the reason I do this is because it's an easy URL to type in. So in this case, it's todaysmeet.com/ditch. They come over here and they click on the link. In fact, in the past, I have used the same Today's Meet room over and over and over again all throughout the course of the year, and then just had my students bookmark that. And I'll say, hey, I'm going to go throw a link into our Today's Meet room if you want to go click on it. And then they just click on that link, on that bookmark, brings them into Today's Meet, and then they click on the link. So, variety of ways to get kids into a shared slide presentation. So, now that they're here, what do you have them do? So what I've almost always done is I've had students jump into a slide and type their name as the title. I've heard people say they like to have the students type their name in the speaker notes, because if you do a Control F or a Command F, which is to find something in the slide presentation, you can do a Command F and you can type in their name, and it allows you to find their slide quickly, and then they don't even have to have it on the slide. But for me, I've always thought it's easiest just to have them type their name into the title. And so I'll have them do that, and then I give them their assignment. Whatever their assignment's going to be, I tell them, okay, go ahead and do that, and then that's going to be right here on your slide. And so the students get to work. And what's nice is that they can add in text, they can add in images, they can add in shapes, lines, whatever it is that you want them to add in. And then you've got one student working here, one student working here, all throughout the slide presentation. Now, one thing I've found, whenever you assign students to this and they jump in for the very first time, it can be a little bit of chaos. So what I did at one point was I assigned every student a number, and it was just based on the roster, alphabetical, top to bottom. And so that would be their number all throughout the year. So for me, being a last name M, I'm probably going to be somewhere in the middle of the alphabet. So if I was a student in that class, I'd probably get like number 14. And so all throughout the year, see the numbers over here on the slides? All throughout the year, I would know that number 14 was my number. And so I would just jump over here and I would add my name, and then I could get to work. And so that eliminates a little bit of the chaos. Another trick, if you don't want to give students, if they're not going to remember their number all the time, one thing I did once was I cut out little numbers. I printed it on a sheet of paper and then cut these little squares with numbers on them, all the way from 1 to about 30. And I taped them to the back of the students' seats in their desks. And you know why I did that, right? Why I taped them back there? Because if you tape them onto the tables, what do the kids do? After less than a week, they start picking at it. They pick at the tape, they pick at the paper, and if you put them back here, they're less likely to disappear. There you go. You're welcome. So, let's say that you've got students all in here, and everybody's on their own slides. And so now you've given them an assignment. And what can you assign? You got a variety of different things you can do. It could be a simple question where you have them type text down here. You could have them add text and then have them add a picture next to it. So, different things that you can do there. Another option of what you can do with the slides is you can have some kind of like virtual manipulatives, things that students can move around on the slide. And I've seen some elementary school teachers do some really cool things with this. So this one in particular, all I did here was I just found some clip art of a tree and a basket and an apple. And I just duplicated this apple a few times. And so this is just real simple, kind of like addition, subtraction. You can say, okay, we have 5 apples, and if we take 2 of them off of the tree and put them into our basket, how many do we have left? Obviously we have 1, 2, 3. And so there's a variety of ways that you can do this too. And in fact, there is a little trick I'm going to show you later, so that if you put the basket and you put the tree onto the screen, If you've ever tried to do this before, you've probably had students accidentally move the basket and the tree around. There's a way to get around that. So I'm going to show that to you in just a little bit too. You could have students design ads and billboards. You can put a graphic organizer onto the screen and then have students type in the text. There's a variety of things that you can do. So you've assigned students your assignment and they're working on it. You know, they're typing in some text, they're adding pictures, they might be adding some shapes, even taking some text and highlighting it and then adding a clickable link to it. So now you've got hyperlinks inside of those slides. And so they're getting to work. And the great thing about this is if the activity isn't too complex, it's something that they can get done in a hurry. I mean, pretty quick. And so once that's done, once the students are done with the assignment, that's only, for me, that's only half of the assignment is what they put on the slide. Because after that, I want them to collaborate. This is the whole reason that I like to do the shared slides, collaborative slides activity, is because I want kids to collaborate inside of it. And so what I'll do is I'll have students, after they're done with their work, they'll jump onto some other people's slides and add comments. And so ahead of time, I have to think about, what do I want them to write in the comments? What kind of activity would be meaningful for them to do with those comments? And so if they've just gotten done writing a prompt, let's say I had them write like a reflection to a book that we're reading, or I had them, you know, fill out different things that they might want to do if they got to visit a certain location in the world. And so once they get done with that, they can jump onto other people's slides and add comments. And so the way to do that, there's a variety of ways to get comments onto a slide. Probably the easiest way is to click the little icon up here. It's the little black speech bubble with the plus sign on it. And so comments are basically like little sticky notes that show up on your screen. And so once the student has written, you know, this is my writing prompt about the activity we're working on. So let's say that they've got something a little deeper than that. And now we're into the commenting phase where students are jumping onto each other's slides to write comments. So from there, we might click the comment button and then another student can write a comment about what they wrote. And so the thing that I found about comments is that a lot of times students don't inherently write great, insightful comments. They need some coaching. Or otherwise, if you're not careful, you'll end up with the one-letter comment. Okay. You know, like, okay, I read it's like, I read your prompt. Okay, got one of my comments done. Check. You know, check that one off of the list. Or you'll have the one-word comment. Cool. And so if you give them a little bit more on what they can do in their comments, a lot of times that helps. So you might have them write, like, what are their own personal experiences with this, if they have any. You might have them write an opinion about what the other student has written. You could have them ask a follow-up question. You could have them add a useful link to something. You could have them add information that the previous author, you know, the student whose slide they're commenting on, didn't add. So add some new information. Any of those things are potential useful comments. The basic goal here is whenever you add a comment, you want to add value to the slide. And so once the student writes, you know, they might say, I visited this location before and I suggest that you visit this place. So that would be a useful comment that adds value. The student adds the comment and clicks comment, and so now it's there. Now here's what I've noticed about doing this with students is that they will create their own slides. They'll go off and they'll write on other people's slides, write the comments, and then you know what they really, really like to do after that? They like to come back and see what everybody else has written on their slide. Like, what are the other people's comments? That's what they love to do, which is no surprise because that's what we do with social media. That's what we do with texting. That's what we do whenever we interact with people digitally, is we want to see what other people have written about our stuff. And so we're kind of pulling that, you know, innate draw that social media has into the classroom in an academic context. So that's a cool thing, you know? So once that's done, once the students have written those comments, we can, the original student can even come over here and write a reply. This is what they call nested comments, where if you want to reply back to this particular one, cool, thanks for that advice. Now that idea all stays together. Now, if another student has written a comment and says, here's a link to a website that shows you more. Once that's there, notice that that's in a different comment. And so now if you want to keep that conversation going about that website, you click here to reply. I will check that out, thanks. And so now we have basically two different conversations going that are kept separate, which is kind of nice. One trick for the commenting phase of all of this that you can try. You might imagine that if you tell students, go write comments on 4 other students' slides, guess whose slides they're probably going to go check out? They're probably going to go directly to their friends, right? And if it's left to chance like that, what I've found is a lot of times you have students that will get lots of comments on their slides, and you'll have some students that get no comments on their slides. So they'll go out, you know, a couple of students will go out and will write all of their comments, and they'll come back to their slide and they'll have nothing. And so that kind of defeats the purpose in some ways with them. So a way around that, what I've done is I'll say comment on the slide of everybody in your row. You know, if you have students in rows, you could say comment on everybody in your row, or you could say comment on the student in front of you. Now comment on the student behind you, and then to the right of you, to the left of you. That's another way to do it. Here's another one that's kind of fun. This one actually uses paper, like real tangible paper in the classroom. What I've done in the past is I've had every student get a little strip of paper or a little bitty piece of paper that I've cut up. And so I'll give everybody a piece and I'll say, write your name on it. Now I'll say, take your papers, pass them forward. If they get to the front of the row, bring them to the back of the row. And then that way you've got somebody else's paper with somebody's name on it, and you go comment on theirs. And then I'll say, take your paper and pass it to the left. And then take your paper and pass it forward again. And so it kind of randomly goes all around the room, and that way everybody ends up commenting on something different. So another way to do that. Okay, so you've taken that assignment, you've assigned it to the students, they've worked on it, they've written comments on each other's stuff, they've come back and looked at their comments. Pretty good stuff, right? Start to finish, pretty easy activity to do. Let me give you a couple of little ninja tricks that you can use to make your shared slide presentations even better. And one of them has to do with add-ons for Google Slides. If you're not familiar with add-ons, it's right up here in this menu, and there's a variety of different add-ons that you can have pop up over here on the side of your slide presentation to add something new to it. Now, one of my favorite things to have students do in Google Slides or Google Drawings. Google Drawings is kind of like the poster board version of the Google tools. It's like it makes a little digital poster board instead of a whole bunch of slides. There's a lot of similarities between slides and drawings. But one of my favorite things to have students do there is to create infographics. Infographics use, you know, little bits of text and little bits of images and mixes them all together. And in fact, if you go to ditchthattextbook.com/infographics, I've got a whole post on how you can create infographics. And this totally works inside of Google Slides if you do shared slides with students. And so what you can do is add the Icons by Noun Project add-on, and you can see it right over here. Now, the free version of it will give you 100 icons that you can use right off the bat, totally for free, without attribution. If you want even more than those, you can go to thenounproject.com and have students search for icons there and then download them and then stick them onto their slide presentations. The catch is if you use thenounproject.com, if you go to the website and you download any icon off of the site, if you want to use it for free, it's under a Creative Commons license, which means that you have to give attribution to the person who created the icon. And so that'll mean adding an extra little line of text at the bottom of your slide that has all the attribution information. And you can get into more of that if you go to thenounproject.com, or even over at ditchthattextbook.com. I have a whole post about how to use the Noun Project in the classroom. So just go there and search for Noun Project and you can get some more details on that. But this is one of those great add-ons where you can bring these icons over, or you can have your students bring these icons over and create something really, really neat. So using that icon totally works. There's a Shutterstock editor one where you can edit photos that you then stick in, audio player for slides if you want to add audio files in. There's a variety of different ones that you can use. So basically just go to add-ons and go to get add-ons, and you can look through the whole directory of all of the add-ons that are there and find the ones that work best for you. Okay, another tip that totally works, and this we're going to go back to the apple tree. Let's say that you're getting ready to do some manipulatives with students on a slide, and you want them to move certain things around, but there are certain things that you want to stay stuck in place where you don't want students to be able to move those around. There's a trick to be able to do this. And so what you do is you start with one slide and you find all of the things that you want to be stuck on the slide that aren't movable. So in this case, we want the basket to stay in place. We want the tree to stay in place. But we're going to want the apples to be able to move around, right? Okay, so let's start with just those things that we want totally stuck in place, which in this case is the tree and the basket. We've got just the tree and just the basket on the slide and nothing else. So what we're going to do here is we're going to download those things that we want stuck in the background. We're going to download those as an image file. I always just use the PNG images. Now watch this. So from here, we can take, let's get these, the tree and the basket off of this slide. You're going to see why in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that slide that we just downloaded. Remember, it was just a slide with just the tree and just the basket. I'm going to right click and change the background. We're going to take that picture of the tree and the basket and we're going to put it as the background of the slide. We're going to take an image and choose the image. So in this case, it was the shared slides picture of the tree and the basket, and we hit done, and look at this. There's our tree, there's our basket, but they're not individual images. This is a picture of that slide set as the background. Watch what happens. Now I'm trying to click and move the tree and click and move the basket. Doesn't happen. Those are stuck in place because this is a picture of that slide set as the background. See how I did that? And so now what we can do is we can bring the apples back onto the tree, and notice this. Now we have 5 clickable, movable apples, but the tree and the basket don't go anywhere. Now this works great for anything that you want to do digital manipulative wise on your slide. If you want students to move certain things but not certain things, like if you have vocabulary terms and definitions, or if you have the parts of a cycle that you want to put into place, this is totally the way that you want to do it. Is you want to get all of the things that you want stuck on the screen, arrange those onto a slide, and then download that slide as a picture. You're going to set it as the background, and then you can move all your little movable things on top of it. And so from here, if I was setting this up in the class, I would just go duplicate this slide, duplicate the slide, duplicate the slide over and over again until we have one for every single student. Another tip, if you have multiple of these slides and you want to duplicate a bunch of them in a hurry, if you don't want to just continually click duplicate slide over and over again, here's what you do. You duplicate a few of them. So in this case, I've duplicated 4. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to highlight all 4 of these slides. I just clicked the first one, held in Shift, clicked the last one. So now I've got 4 of them. I'm going to use my copy keyboard shortcut, which is Control-C or Command-C if you're using a Mac. then Control V to paste, and watch what happens. Paste, paste, paste. I'm pasting them in 4 at a time. So now paste, paste. Now I've got from slide 36 all the way up to slide 13. So now I've got all of these slides, and I can continually paste, paste, paste. So that way I don't have to just duplicate slides over and over and over again. By highlighting a chunk of slides, copying them and pasting them, that kind of speeds up the process a little bit. One last ninja trick. If there are certain images that you want students to be able to continually click on or move over, if there are certain images that you know that they're going to need, stick those on the outside of the slide. Now, the way I saw the outside of the slide like this, kind of like the area around the slide, is I went to View and Zoom, and I zoomed it out to 50%. And if you do that, now you can see all this space around the slide. And I stuck about 7 different images off to the side here. So if there's something that you know that they're going to want to use, if you want to save them time so that they don't have to go dig it up themselves, go ahead and stick those on the slide. And now you'll notice up here in the little thumbnail, you can't see anything. It looks blank because everything that's actually on the slide is blank. But it's out here in the surrounding area, which is where all of these images are that they're going to use. So if I changed my layout to my typical title and body one, now I'm going to duplicate that slide. I'm going to duplicate that slide. I'm going to duplicate that slide. And notice all 4 of them have all of those pictures on the surrounding areas. Use that same trick we used earlier. Copy 4 slides, paste, 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 paste. And now if you have about 28 students in your class, look what we just did. We now have 28 slides that have all of those pictures all around them, all just ready for them to use. Boom, there you go. Couple of tips that you can use to create these great slide presentations, these great shared slide presentations. So I hope that you love that. I hope it was useful for you. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you like these kinds of videos, make sure that you subscribe and you turn on notifications with the little bell so that you'll see whenever you get a new video like this. All right, so I hope that this was great for you, and I'll see you on the next video.